Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's watch party for Innerspace with our In Search of Tomorrow community. As always, I'm Andrew Dalton, and I'm joined today by the fantastic Collin Moran, who is one of our community members who has taken up the challenge to join us here on a watch party to riff with us and discuss the movie. Hello, Collin.
Hello, super happy to be here. Hey, everybody. It's feels like a sci-fi experience to be on the other side of the watch party here right now. So it's very exciting. Happy to be here.
That's the thing. We are going to be putting an invitation out there. If you are watching this and you're a member of our community and you feel like you'd like to join us on a watch party, yeah, let us know. We see if something will fit. Hey, let's go for it. You know, we're community entertainment, so we're here for you all. Right, so just to get everyone to know, there's a few different editions of the movie. Our sync point for the movie today will be where the text saying Steven Spielberg presents flashes up on the screen. So that's going to be our cue point, but we'll get to that in a minute. We'll just let you all get yourselves sorted with that. So, Collin, can you tell us where you first saw this movie, when, how old you were, etc.?
So it would have been 90s for me, so I wouldn't have seen it when it was brand new. If I can remember correctly, honestly, it's tough. I'm having a hard time. It would have been sometime in the 90s. It would have had to have been either my brother or my cousin showing it to me. They were kind of the guys that brought me into the genre, and I just remember loving it. You know, I'm a fan of Gremlins and other Dante stuff. So and Martin Short is a big deal. I almost called him Martin Sheen. I might do that throughout this by accident. If I do, I mean Martin Short. But yeah, and it was just a very, very fun movie, very science forward, very cool, just an awesome adventure that fit for me for sure, and I think fits for a lot of people. Yeah,
it's got a lot of heart, this movie, like all of Dante's movies, which is just great. And speaking of Joe Dante, I've got a little something to show everybody, so hold on to your hats.
Hi, I'm Joe Dante, Director of Explorers and Innerspace, and you'll be seeing more of me in Search of Tomorrow. You know, working with Marty Short, if you do 10 takes, take 10 is like from a different movie than take one. He likes to discover. He likes to try new things. He and Dennis are never on screen together except at the very end. But yet it wasn't going to work to pre-record Dennis's dialogue or pre-record Marty's dialogue. So our sound guy, Ken King, came up with an idea that allowed them to talk to each other during takes. So whenever I did a scene with Marty, Dennis would still be there off screen, and they could talk to each other, and they could improvise.
I'm in here, inside you, inside your body.
Somebody help me! I'm possessed!
One of the reasons that their relationship in the movie works so well is because it's actually a real relationship that they were having at the moment, and with all of the attendant ad-libs and hem and haws and reactions, and they were able to build their characters that way.
Let the good times roll.
Okay, so we thought we'd give you guys a little sneak peek of some footage from In Search of Tomorrow. So, Collin, what did you think of that little snippet of Joe?
Pretty awesome. Very, very cool. It's maybe a preview into the goodness that ISOT is going to be. Yeah, that's wonderful.
Exactly. We thought we'd bring you guys a little treat. So everybody, today's sync point is where the Steven Spielberg presents flashes up on screen. So if everyone's ready, we will count you down. And as always, you do need, of course, your own copy for the movie. And on the count of 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, press play. There we go. We see the sort of cool zooming in sort of moment on the
I like when opening credits are kind of a show in itself. You're trying to figure out what it is, what's going on.
Exactly. That's what I like about this, that whole kind of you're not really sure what it is. It's something, but I'm a big fan of these kind of, I don't know really what it describes. It's like macro photography almost. You're not sure what it is. It's because it's an everyday object zoomed in to an incredible level.
Totally, yeah. Which is cool. It's like, you can zoom in on something and it's like it's its whole existence or its whole separate thing happening there. It's really crazy.
Yes, exactly. That's what's so awesome about it. Yeah.
And the soundtrack too, so good.
The soundtrack is phenomenal. And I was actually showing you, wasn't I, just before we started today, that I'm quite fortunate. I picked up a copy of the out of print Innerspace soundtrack, which you can probably see Collin reflected and me, and there we go. My monitor's reflected in it. But yes, the out of print soundtrack for the movie. It's just a great score by Jerry Goldsmith. I mean, he is a who's who, but then again, this whole movie is a who's who. I mean, are you looking at some of the names just flashing up on the screen at the moment here, Collin? It's just
absolutely
incredible.
Yeah. No, I love it.
Absolutely incredible. Now,
and here we get the introduction to Dennis Quaid's character.
That's right. Tuck.
Prodigy drunkard.
So cool.
He does such a good job in this movie. I watched a really great interview, and I don't know if it was this movie or not, but he just he talks about how he has to have fun when he's working, and how in this project particularly he was able to just let go and enjoy, and it really shows.
Exactly. Do forgive me just for a moment, Collin. I've got to address something in our Discord community.
Yeah.
There are people are saying that for the Christmas movie, which would fall on a horror weekend, they like Gremlins. Well, Lizard Man and Aaron, I'm going to say this now. It's way in the future. But we did say we're going to tell you movies in the future. Gremlins is this year's In Search of Darkness Christmas movie. It will be shown we'll be watching it together on December 19th. So that's going to be a fantastic one. So let's get back to Innerspace, guys. But as the chat are happy.
Can't wait for that. Definitely.
That's going to be great. We're seeing everyone wrestling in the kitchen.
Yeah.
So, as again, we're discussing Jerry Goldsmith earlier with so many of these phenomenal scores. Can you tell me some of your favorite Goldsmith scores? All these questions are for our chat as well. So please,
certainly. This is an unbelievable score. I feel like Goldsmith's stuff kind of goes through a lot of Dante's work, and so those are some awesome scores. One of my favorites of his, though, is Legend. Interestingly enough, and there's a couple cuts of Legend. So there's a Tangerine Dream cut with it, and then there's a Goldsmith one. And I never liked the Goldsmith one, and I could only watch Legend as a Tangerine Dream sound. But in recent years, I've really warmed up to it, and it's really become something that's really stuck with me.
Yeah. In this movie, for me, my favorite track of the whole score is there's one that we'll see at the bit basically where they shrink the ship, and it's called Let's Get Small. And it's a phenomenal piece of music. I absolutely love it. It's just such a great one. But I mean, with Goldsmith, I think probably one of my other favorite scores of his would be the Supergirl main march.
Yeah, that's really good too as well. Yeah, I need to revisit that one. Yeah, but definitely. Yeah. I think he may have done that's right. Yeah.
Well, originally he was going to write the score for the Soul Kind Superman movie, but he was busy.
Right.
So they asked John Williams, and of course we got one of the most incredible scores ever written.
Of course.
But, yeah. I mean, Supergirl is still great. I just love he lives in such a trashy apartment. It's just so...
Oh, I know. One thing I love the sets and everything in this and how natural it all looks. Like that really, to me, feels like his apartment. And same with Martin Short's when we eventually get there.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, and the legend. We're seeing the legendary...
of course, Meg Ryan.
Dick Miller.
Oh, I might be a bit behind there.
That's okay. No, I might be a little bit ahead. Let me just pause for just a moment. I apologize. There we go. I'll catch up now. So, got a question for you, Colin.
Yes.
Which is from, I think I'm actually quite far ahead of the audience. Let me go back just a little bit. There we go. A question from Mr. Fuzzle. If you could be shrunk down, Colin, what would you like to explore?
Holy smokes. What a question. If I could be shrunk down, I mean, so my scale shrunken down wouldn't be to what Dennis Quaid's is here, but I might like to get shrunken down to like a Dino Riders figure size, if you ever remember that cartoon and figures, and maybe explore the play sets of Dino Riders.
That's an interesting choice.
Yeah,
that's quite an interesting choice. It'd be cool to be shrunk down to the size of a Star Wars figure in the same way where you could ride all the vehicles and things. But unfortunately, it'd probably be really boring because they don't do anything.
Just to sit in them though would be really cool.
Yeah, that would be cool. What about you guys in the chat? What if you could be shrunk down or made bigger? How big or small would you be made, and why? Seems some great dialogue between the two of them here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was a great question. I think action figure kind of comes to mind when shrinking down, as opposed to maybe something biological.
Now, Mr. Furzle's commenting, yes, those abs, yes, he's clearly had no sugar in his diet ever. And Carla's saying, Dick Miller, Joe Dante, favorite character. Dick Miller's so wonderful in basically every Dante movie you see him in his little cameos.
Absolutely. And it's funny, for such a small role that he has in it, his role is like the gun shop guy in the Terminator is like what I remember him from always. It's funny. It's just this little role that always stuck in my head. Yeah. He's just one of those great actors who's everything he's in is so much fun. Oh, for sure.
Oh, 2 months later in Silicon Valley. Yeah, exactly. As Lizardman says, you can't have a Dante movie without Miller. You really can't.
Yeah, he's got a few recurrings that he likes to have with him, and I love that. I love when directors and crews and stuff stick together for different projects. You can really see the camaraderie and it's really, really great.
Yeah, and now we're being introduced to Jack in the doctor's office.
Yes.
You do get the feeling that he's such a hypochondriac that Jack gets personal Christmas cards from his doctor.
Yeah.
So often. He's probably got a recurring appointment.
So great. And if I'm not mistaken, this actor, his name's leaving me right now, unfortunately, the doctor, played a doctor in the original Incredible Shrinking Man, which is kind of really cool that they put in there.
Well, that's the thing. Just as amazing as you just say that, Carla, our superstar producer, just says, fun fact, William Shallotte was cast as Jack's doctor as an in-joke since he had played the Doctor in The Incredible Shrinking Man in 1957.
57, that's right. Yeah. Yeah, that's really cool.
That is.
Neat little attention to details like that really make a difference in the whole feeling of the film, I think.
And we're just seeing, we have a few as the movie goes on, we do see a few more Joe Dante alumni just popping up. And of course, that's the fantastic Kathleen Freeman.
Yes.
Who played she's just a great actress who just popped up in so many things in cameo roles as the nun in the Blues Brothers.
Right. That's right. And am I mistaken? Is Blues Brothers Landis? Is that a John Landis film? I think it is.
Blues Brothers is a John Landis movie, yes.
And so I'm pretty sure Landis and Dante are pretty good friends in real life.
Wouldn't surprise
I'm sure
me.
They had a conversation about that once or twice.
Well, we also, I'm not going to spoil it yet, but we do see another sort of Dante alumni appearing, who's quite an unusual one because he's not traditionally an actor, who we do see make a little cameo in a moment. He's in this movie and in Gremlins. So that's a question for our Discord chat when he appears shortly. Who's that actor? I've never been to LA, but I've heard that, well, Silicon Valley isn't in LA, but it's California, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
But it's I've heard the traffic is terrible there, so I'm assuming this is. Why do you choose him?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely the pilot who's been sidelined from NASA, etc.
He's a wild card. He's out of control, but he could be the best. It's such a great classic character.
He's eccentric is the best way to. Oh, that's a great, thank you, Calbot. That's a great thing you just noticed, an in-joke. The brown car on the side of the road was an AMC Gremlin.
Oh.
So quite possibly.
There you go. Quite probably, I'd say.
Yeah. And we're seeing John Hoare here playing Ozzy, who's great. He passed away sadly this year. However, he was a cinematographer on the movie Moonwalker.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah,
I did not know that.
Yeah, he was a friend of Dante's. He was also the director of photography on Explorers and Gremlins.
I just love the 80s sets, all the the panels in the background and everything, and the lights and the knobs that everybody's kind of randomly clicking at in the background. And
the aesthetic is, and this is the piece of music. This is the piece of music. Let's get small. It's just quite a long bit. It's just a build. It's a wonderful kind of slow build up.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of love as well how janky the lab looks. It's not all black smoked glass and all swish and
kind of seems. It's interesting too because they actually had real scientists come in and act in some of these roles and kind of help with setting up the lab set and that sort of thing. So it's cool that it's maybe a little more realistic than what we would see in a movie where it is what you were just describing. And
yes, exactly. Oh, it's wonderful score. I could just it's just, it just describes the movie.
Yeah, the adventure, the intrigue, and it's wonderful.
Even the dialogue. He spilt some coffee on a piece of equipment last week, and it doesn't work as well now. It's just the dialogue from Ozzy here is just so great. He's talking about the lasers being increased with in power, blah blah blah. He's going through all the technical stuff, and he finishes with the line, "Combined with a common household dustbuster."
So great. Just such awesome enthusiasm and imagination.
Yeah. A common, let's see, carpet sweeper.
I think it'd be really interesting too to be part of a production and spend a lot of your time away from the rest of the cast, which would have been the case for Dennis Quaid for this film. So it's really, really interesting to see how well they come out on screen together.
As Lizard Man just said, his confession from him is the Ant-Man movies are his favorite Marvel films. By default, they brought back shrinking into movies. Gives me all the high concept, silly stuff in my superhero flicks. I say, I agree with you. I love a bit of, I don't like dark sci-fi. Well, dark sci-fi's got a place, but I think there's a certain lightheartedness. This movie can be serious when it needs to be, but it's above all else, it's fun. And that's what I think you get from a lot of 80s sci-fi, this whole just, let's have fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Open the mind, see what we can come up with, see what, it's really great. Yeah. I'd like to know where that pod is now in real life. I'll go
I'd
dig it
love
out
to.
of some
I'd love the
studio
design of
garbage or
it.
something.
I don't have a clue, but I love the
Yeah.
design of the pod as well. It looks kind of friendly. It looks functional yet friendly. It's kind of it's got like a face to it.
Almost like a character itself.
Yeah, exactly. I'd agree with that, Aaron. The pod looks a bit like the Thunder. It does have that kind of Thunder Road aesthetic to it from Explorers.
Right, from Explorers.
But I wouldn't be shocked if the designers were the same.
I don't know if I can say this for Explorers, but I'm pretty sure Rob Bottin was one of the designers for this film, and effects and stuff. So it.
I love this bit here. I love this comment from Ozzy as well. The guy's doing this incredibly complicated thing with the robot arm, putting the chip in, and he goes, "This paperwork should have been on my desk 2 weeks ago."
Oh yeah, I love it. Like these robotic arms are almost some of my favorite parts of the movies, almost just.
There we go. And we see the chip going into the pod.
Yeah.
Again, this is that same piece of music. It just builds up and carries on. It's such a long piece of music.
Yeah, totally. It really grabs, like Jerry Goldsmith grabbed your emotion and really went with it. And it was.
And Sharon's got a question for you, Colin, which is quite an interesting one again. I think a lot of people want to see you shrunk for some reason. If you were shrunk and put into someone's body that you could talk to, who would it be and what would you say?
Holy smokes. Maybe myself.
Okay.
Does that work? Maybe I could shrink myself down and get inside my head and talk to myself.
Why not? And we've got the trope of a lab with some kind of a power surge or an explosion in a minute. Very 80s thing where all the stray paper has to go flying everywhere.
Oh, of course.
I get a bit of a, I know it's strange, I get a bit of a Willy Wonka vibe to the shrinking scene in this. The whole, where Mike TV is sort of blown into molecules, shrunk down and then reformed elsewhere. And it's a similar kind of thing where you do see him kind of explode and then be reformed elsewhere. Right, the only thing I have an issue with here is this is the most unconvincing set of telephone repairmen ever. Because if I was outside, I'd be thinking that must be a hell of a phone fault if it needs 8 guys to fix it.
Usually it's like one phone guy in one van. There's like 60 guys coming out of these. Yeah, this scene almost reminds me of like when they take over the building in Die Hard or something.
Yeah,
like
very
that.
much so. It's very much that kind of taking over. This is very much like a Die Hard, trained crack commandos coming in.
I always feel bad for the front desk security guy that gets it.
Well, I'm hoping that was just knockout spray and not poison.
Yeah, exactly. I was wondering that. I guess it probably is just a.
As Aaron says, what the hell are they spraying? I don't know. Maybe knockout. We'll call it knockout gas. It exists in movies, doesn't it? Yeah, Network Nerd says magic knockout gas. We'll go with that.
Gas, I like it. So I know initially this movie, I think when the script first came to Dante, it was initially more of a serious kind of spy sort of sci-fi movie or whatever. And I wonder if those were real guns in the original script or something. They
maybe
cleaned it up a bit for a family movie.
Well, blowing the lock on the door. I suppose it quite possibly the guns might have been replaced with the spray very much to get the age rating down. Because if they'd have effectively come in butchering everyone there, then the MPAA would have seriously not. They might have made it a slightly higher rating than they were targeting for.
I would think so. I like that about a lot of Dante's movies too, is that they're friendly and they're fun, but the concept and behind them can be pretty scary sometimes.
Oh, definitely. Sharon's saying, for such a super technical experiment, there isn't a lot of security. It's probably what we call security by obscurity, that you don't, unless you know what's going on in there, you don't have a clue, so you maybe don't worry about the security. I mean, I worked in a couple of buildings that were not like that, but in the late 90s that was set up very similarly in the 80s, and they had shocking low levels of security for what could be done in the buildings.
Interesting. I love that pull-up scene when with the snap-on license plate.
Yes.
You just know who's coming.
Absolutely great. Mr. Igo.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's Vernon Wells, possibly the most hair you've ever seen him have in a movie as well.
Totally. This might be the most put together Vernon Wells I've seen in an 80s movie.
Seeing very, very similar to even to Terminator 2 here with the flood tunnels.
Yep. I believe Vernon Wells actually modeled his character after Arnold's Terminator. Yeah. And I think he's even, and hey, I like him. After learning about that stuff, I would love to see him would have loved to have seen him in a Terminator movie back when.
Oh, I would have absolutely loved him. I even really enjoy this. I love this whole kind of chase scene as well. On a stolen child's bike.
Oh, so, totally.
What I'm going to just jump a little bit ahead on the movie in a minute, is we're going to see some scenes in the infamous Galleria Mall that was in Sherman Oaks. And when we did our watch party with Kelly Maroney around Chopping Mall, one of the things she mentioned to us is that apparently the reason they shot so much there was apparently the owner of the Galleria Mall was a big movie fan. And he was quite happy for any disruption at the mall for shooting movies there. Which is why the same mall was used for Terminator 2, Fast Times at Ridgemont High, Commando, Innerspace, Chopping Mall, Walk Like a Man. There's so many. I can't list all the movies at that mall. What I'd love to think is that all these movies are going on at the same time in the mall on the same day. So you've got Mr. Igo chasing Ozzy down in the lifts, and then you see Arnie there with his Commando on top of one of the other lifts going across in the background. You just see this kind of massive, again, if someone could edit that together, that would be an amazing montage. If someone could cut together all the scenes that take place in the mall together as a supercut, that would be just tremendous to see.
That's an amazing idea. I didn't realize that with this mall. That's amazing. That's really, really cool. It's funny revisiting this movie, knowing Vernon Wells as Bennett, in Commando. It's one of the first things I thought when the mall scene happened. I'm like, oh, I wonder if they're in Commando right now or something. See Sully run by or something like that.
That'd be so cool. If you see, and then you see Arnie as Matrix swinging by on Commando, and then next scene you see the Terminator spinning the shotgun.
Exactly.
Oh, there he is.
Even some of the music that Goldsmith uses when it's showing Vernon Wells' character almost has like a Brad Fiedel Terminator kind of jun 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 sort of sound.
Yeah.
And poor unsuspecting Martin Short.
Yes, just leaving me. But when we used to have to go into travel agents to book holidays and vacations, before we just did everything online. Wow. I actually watched a YouTube video recently with a doctor reviewing this movie, and he actually said that that would be the best place to give the injection for this in the movie, is actually in his butt, strange enough.
It's got some good absorption.
That's right.
Yeah.
Now that's got to be a strange death for Ozzy. I mean, every death has got to be weird, but as he's slowly fading away, being surrounded by guys in very cheap-looking costumes.
Exactly.
What I love about Mr. Igo in this film is he just doesn't care.
Mm-hmm. He's almost seemingly like robotic. Yeah,
he is. He
well,
really
I guess,
is.
yeah. I guess the movie will continue. But yeah, for such a monotone character, I feel like he puts so much out on the screen. It's really great.
But he's also not afraid of a dick move.
No,
just like the guy with the clown with the balloon there, just no reason at all. Just,
exactly. Yeah. Which is it's funny. It's funny. It's almost like, does this ruthless killer have like a sense of humor there? That was funny. Yeah.
He just wants to be nasty for every reason he can.
Yeah.
So the question is that to effectively reload his hand, he's doing that?
That's a good question.
Because because his hand was still working, even if he did have the fingertip missing.
I wonder if he wanted to. I'm trying to think, because like when he shot it, it blew out the fingertip of his glove. So I wonder if that renders that hand useless after a shot.
No, and he did use that hand, picking things up with the fingertip missing.
Oh.
He was still using both hands, but maybe, like I say, maybe it's reload or something. I don't know.
Right.
There we go. Now Tuck's trying to figure out where he is. But we're starting to see some of these incredible special effects. I mean, these were an Oscar.
Yeah, huge.
Oh, yeah. But we don't have packers in UK supermarkets anymore. We used to, but we only had them for a brief while. We used to pack our own shopping, our own groceries, and then we had packers for a while, and then they went away. Basically, because we were getting a lot of them who behaved like this woman who's... I love the fact she was the eggs on the top of the bag, and then that giant jug of...
Oh, I know. Yeah.
Just doesn't
I would have been having an anxiety attack waiting in line while she was packing my groceries. Whatever that vat of juice or cider is she put on them.
Yeah.
It's hilarious.
Forcing it into the bags and crushing it.
Martin Short just,
I
want to say he does such a good job of being such like a nervous type of guy, but he just does such a good job of being like any type.
Oh, that's definitely really there we go. We can see a cameo there. Another one. See if you can pick up on it, Colin. In the queue at the supermarket. Let's see if the
I'm being tested here. Let's see.
Sharon, he's wearing guy liner.
Is it his boss? See, I totally recognize this.
No, it's one of the customers in the queue.
Oh, it's one of the customers, eh? Okay.
Yeah. So his boss. I mean, his boss is one of the main cast. mean, he's another one of
Is he
that's
another
Henry
Dante?
Gibson. That's Henry Gibson, the bosses, who's another one of Dante's regulars.
Right.
That's it. He just said it. There we go.
I'm going to need help from the Discord community on this one.
Okay, so let's have a look in the Discord. That's right. Carl has got it in the Discord. It was Chuck Jones,
Oh,
the
okay.
gentleman with the moustache, the legendary animator.
Ah. Very
He's
cool.
also eating. Yeah, Aaron got it. Sparky
Nice.
John got it earlier. I didn't reply on that. We've got a few people. You've all got it. It was Chuck Jones. He's even eating carrots in the queue.
Okay. So that's awesome. I learned something.
Yeah.
That's great.
This was cool. And again, the doctor I watched who spoke about this movie said this path the computer comes up with is a realistic route through the body.
Right.
So obviously they must have had doctors and things helping them to.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I love the effect of that. And he's heading into the blood vessel as all the red blood cells are flying through and everything. It's really, really cool. Kind of
But
gives
it's also quite nice as well because you're seeing the cells and it's the hemoglobin, isn't it? Is the other thing, because your blood consists of cells and hemoglobin, which is a clear liquid that the cells are contained, rather than it just being, because as we would see it normally, it's just a natural red liquid to us, but it isn't really red.
Right. We need that vectroscope or whatever it's called to shrink down and see them.
I just love what a bad person she is in this friend at the supermarket. She's just smoking everywhere, reading at work. She doesn't care. He's clearly upset.
Yeah. Especially to a guy like Martin Short's character too, you know. He's so vulnerable. He's
again, this score is just so
absolutely.
I don't think there's
censor.
I do, but I don't think there's anyone who gives a nothing but an A game performance in this movie. It's over the top, a lot of the performances are, but that's what it needs for the silliness of it.
Yeah, I love the contrast in characters between Dennis Quaid and Martin Short, and kind of how the movie plays out by the end, and it's really great.
That's definitely one of the things I love about it, is the fact that, spoilers, by the end of the movie, they make each other better. It's a development movie.
Yeah.
Very much so, Aaron. I would agree with you there. Many 80s movies were made great by the supporting cast. He was discussing Teen Wolf in this context the other day with his friends, and I would 100% agree with you with that. The supporting cast is as, if not more important than the lead roles.
Yeah.
Quite often.
It's neat. It kind of gives you the idea of the theme that, you know, it's not just about you, it's the other people in your life and stuff like that that are important and really can make a difference.
Yeah. There we go. Now he's going elsewhere in the body to try to find. And that is just such an awesome, badass BMW from the 80s. Mr. Igo drives.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he's almost like, he could almost be like a Bond bad guy or something.
Oh, he's definitely framed like a kind of like a Bond assassin type character.
Yeah. I want that photo of Martin Short up on my wall.
It's what I find incredible about this film is, and what I think so brilliant about the direction of it with the special effects, is it looks so otherworldly for something that is close to everybody in reality.
Yeah, totally. It's really cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's like an alien planet he's exploring, but really it's just the inside of a human body, which is just kind of mind-blowing when you think about it.
Absolutely.
Wow.
And the voice, I believe the voice of the pod was actually done by, I can't, his name's not coming to me right now, but he was a huge voice actor, did a lot of 80s cartoons, G.I. Joe, I think the Rambo, all sorts of other cartoons and stuff like that.
I'm sure someone will say who did the voice in the chat in just a moment.
Oh.
That's right, Sparky John. Henry Gibson played Gruppenführer. No, he wasn't Gruppenführer. Gruppenführer was the deputy in the Blues Brothers. But he played the head Nazi, the head Illinois Nazi in the Blues Brothers.
Okay, right on. That's awesome. So second time's Blues Brothers has come up, I think. That's cool.
Yeah. Was Neil Ross, apparently. Was
Neil Ross, that's it.
That's right.
Yeah. He has a really cool resume, actually. It's just like
very cool. Very cool.
All in like he's got like almost 300 jobs on there too. It's got a really awesome resume.
He was a Leoric in Visionaries, was one of his famous ones I know him from.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I think he was in like Centaurs and like all sorts of crazy stuff. Yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah, here goes Mad Matt's saying we've got an SCTV reunion scene going on here. So
yeah,
SCTV
totally.
Cast. I'm possessed. The Doctor's really got a theme for tropical islands in his office, isn't he? He's got that giant mural behind them in the waiting room, and then he's got one in his office.
I guess maybe a calming effect or something like that, perhaps. I think that's a very realistic thing to maybe think, like when you're legitimately hearing this, somebody talking to you inside, you're like, holy crap, I'm possessed. Something's going on here.
It's also maybe a sign of the times in that now, I think if you said you had someone talking to you, they would refer you to some kind of psychiatric help much sooner. With this Doctor, he's not seeing it as possibly a psychiatric problem.
Right.
There we go, going to his apartment.
That's a good Doctor right there.
Oh yeah.
All right.
I know it's not connected at all, but hey, let's go with it. That's the South Seas complex from Karate Kid he lives in, and then if he looks over there, Mr. Miyagi's his maintenance man.
Oh, I love that. That's awesome. Cobra Kai's got to be one of my favorite shows right now.
Oh, definitely.
On top of obviously the original films, but no, that's really cool. I like that.
It's quite cool here, actually. We're seeing a little bit about Jack and his life here. Very much in his apartment, we can see he's got one armchair, and his bed. He's got quite a small apartment, but there's literally no socializing goes on in his apartment. He's not got anywhere for an additional person to sit. I bet if you look in his cupboards in the kitchen, he's probably got one plate, one bowl, one fork, etc.
Yeah, kind of reminds me of me. The electromagnetic booster. I love this.
Yeah. Oh no, he has got a couch. I do apologize. He's got a couch, but it's nowhere. It's not that anyone can watch TV with him, though.
Right.
I love kind of the fact that they're both going through the same thing at the same time.
Yeah, it's really cool. Yeah, that.
Aaron says he has a nice Delft tile backsplash. I also see he's also got a very 80s wok on his cooker. One of the ones, one of the stainless woks with the red handle and the little ring that people would have to sit it on.
That is awesome. I love his gold folding lamp behind him, kind of there.
Yeah,
I don't see those too often lately. This is when Quaid kind of realizes, like, uh-oh, I'm in some real trouble.
Yeah. So here's a question now for yourself and for the chat. If Tuck had been injected into one of his compatriots, one of the pilots, one of the superstars we saw in the opening scene of the movie, how would it have played out?
Very interesting.
Is it Jack's kind of meekness, willingness to do what he's told that saves the day?
Right. It's almost, yeah, that's a very interesting question. I feel like maybe sometimes the most unexpected situation kind of produces the best results, sort of thing. And whereas maybe you might think that if he got placed into one of his comrades, it might work out better or something, but maybe not necessarily. It could have gone horribly wrong. Yeah.
But would that person maybe not be listening to working with Tuck? Would he maybe been too... Jack is quite willing to work with Tuck. But if it had been a stronger willed person, possibly he wouldn't have. And it could have gone wrong.
Yeah.
Could have been someone who wanted to be the hero. Jack never wanted to be the hero.
Right. Sometimes you have to get pushed into something to find your potential.
Yeah.
Has anybody else answered on the Discord about that at all?
Well, I'm just waiting to see. Sparky John just said he's the last person you would expect in that kind of situation, so no one takes him as a threat, and that's probably why he survived. I think I'd agree with that.
That's a really good approach for sure, yeah.
Let's see what else you think in the chat. Lizardman's got a good way as well. This sort of feels like playing a video game with the voice controls from Tuck's perspective. Kind of, yeah. And even there, you can see Tuck knows that Jack's quite a nervous sort.
Right.
So because he's in serious trouble, and it's established that this could kill Jack.
Absolutely.
What is happening right now. But
exactly.
Tuck realizes it's not going to help the situation. He realizes now he's got to take a more big brothery kind of, hey, it's going to be okay, we're going to get you through this approach, come on, we're together in this kind of attitude with him, rather than saying, okay, we've got a problem now, I'm going to go into your heart. If it had been maybe a stronger person, he'd have been okay with that, but he knows he can't tell everything to Jack.
Yeah, exactly.
And again, this effects here are wonderful. We're seeing this little pod.
Oh, it's crazy. It's like like the Learning Channel, like a operation show from when I was a kid or something, watching the little scope go in. And like it looks very real. I think it's awesome what they were able to achieve for the special effects in this.
Definitely. Sharon says it's always the guy you least expect that turns out to be the hero. There's even a little, sorry, going back to the score, there's even like a little hero march every time something good happens. That kind of da-da-da.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Like a little motif.
Yeah. Just waiting for Indy to swing by or something.
That's it.
But no, totally. And I love that too, that it's like their attention to detail, that like Martin Short's obviously going to be freaking out, and that's going to affect what Dennis Quaid's environment is within his body. Yeah,
exactly. I mean, that's used a couple of times in the movie without spoiling towards the end, but
yeah, that's really cool.
I love the fact as well he's speaking to one of the bosses at the company who can clearly hear him speaking normally, and he speaks to him like you're speaking to a foreign guy when you're abroad.
Yeah,
that kind of, yes, if I speak louder, you will understand me better. And it's like, just talk to them.
Yeah, it's not the volume.
Yeah. If you speak louder and slower, it all becomes clear. Mr. Fernsel says it's always the quiet ones, and it is.
It's a prototype.
That's right. Right, now this is something I have an issue with the movie's poster. Because the poster, it says that Tuck can't exit the pod, otherwise he would die. But if you think about the poster, the infamous poster shows the little like that of the pod between his fingers, and it's not Mr. Igo, it's a little guy waving at you.
Yeah,
it's implied to be Tuck.
Yeah, absolutely.
The poster lied.
Yep. And I think Joe Dante credits that to some of the lack of box office success for the film as well too, that the poster really didn't kind of depict the film. Yeah.
I mean, what is this movie? This was something I was thinking about earlier today. It's a sci-fi comedy, but with its sort of subgenre, is it a heist? Is it a rescue movie?
Good question. It's like, it's very interesting.
Let's go with all these questions I'm asking. Of course, please, I want the answers from the chat as well.
Yeah.
So how you'd categorize it?
It could almost be like a invasion movie almost too.
It is. One of the other things that I picked up on that was said in the scene earlier, we are the first to perfect the tricky re-enlargement process. So there are other entities out there in this movie world who have the ability to shrink things.
I'd like to see an Innerspace universe start in the film business.
That would be cool.
Let's see if we can bring Innerspace into the Ant-Man films or something like that.
Oh, I'd be up for that.
Somebody was mentioning that earlier, the Ant-Man films, and that was great.
I love that. It turns out that Hank Pym was one of the guys there in that lab.
Totally, yeah. That'd be great.
But this is the genius of it as well. If you look at the contrasting personalities here between Tuck and Jack, it's even expressed in the apartments, because they've got similar sort of size apartments. Maybe Tuck's is a bit bigger, but Jack's was before anything happened, very neat, orderly, compartmentalized. The aerosol cans lived on this shelf, the books lived on this shelf, and like that. But now, also being a very restrained person. But if you look at Tux. Tux is just like a mental explosion has gone off.
Yeah.
Of just all aspects of his personality are everywhere.
He's a hot mess.
Yeah. Oh, there's a very 80s thing I just noticed on the wall, back wall of his apartment, over the bell. Is that an Aerobee Frisbee?
Oh, I think it is.
I haven't seen one of those for a long time.
Yeah.
Also, I find this potentially quite disgusting.
Southern Comfort?
No, because if you think about it, the Southern Comfort is bouncing off the inside of Jack's esophagus and his throat. So inevitably, his saliva is actually mixed in with that Southern Comfort that Tuck is now drinking.
Very true.
I don't think I would want to drink Southern Comfort that someone baby birded into my mouth.
Yeah, even if you were already inside of that person.
Yeah.
I love that he has almost like a little flask-like attachment that he can just send out to collect a drink if need be. No, it's great.
Oh, it's such a great scene.
It's true. It's so good. Martin Short just pulls this off so well.
Yeah.
So good. This is like a nice bonding scene.
It is, and they're just having fun together.
Yeah, they've met, getting to symbiosis or something like that.
Yeah. Oh, this is a proper scene. He's stealing the scene here, just having so much fun.
I love he's still got his grocery store name tag on his shirt and everything too.
Yeah.
And I can't recall how much of that Southern Comfort did he have. I know he doesn't drink, but was it like a swig?
Like a big. He said, take a big old swig.
Yeah, that's all it takes for Martin Short. Yeah.
Yeah. Ooh, Sparky John says, wouldn't the alcohol content be extremely dangerous to miniaturize Tuck? I don't know because.
Wow.
I don't know because this gets really complicated. And I think it's one of those things that we don't think about because those alcohol molecules might be too large to go in the bottle easily.
Right. Wow, that's a great question. That's interesting.
It is. A wizard did it.
Yeah, we'll say that.
We'll say that. Lizardman's saying it's only a drop in comparison, but it's the percentage of your body, isn't it? The amount was proportional, as Aaron says. It is. So technically he filled his flask up, but I guess that the Southern Comfort wasn't miniaturized.
Right.
Because that was full size. Yeah. I still probably wouldn't recommend drinking. It was diluted with his saliva anyway, so let's...
Yeah. It's neat too that he's like a fighter jet pilot, whatever. We're seeing those photos and stuff. Meg Ryan had just done Top Gun, or was just coming on to be in Top Gun.
She would have just done Top Gun. Top Gun was 87. Right? This was Top Gun was 86. So yeah, she would have just played Mrs. Goose in Top Gun.
Mrs. Goose, right? She likes those jet fighters.
That's right. Okay, let's do another one. Let's connect some universes here. After Goose died in Top Gun, she moved on to be with Tuck because she had a thing for pilots and aircraft, Navy aviators.
Totally.
Join the dots.
I like it. I'm gonna have to watch Top Gun again and see if there's a scene with the Galleria Mall in there or something.
Oh, and she's got a photo of Tuck on a desk, but she in his cockpit, but she's stuck like a poster or something over him, so she can tell she's annoyed with him.
Right.
But not annoyed enough to get rid of the picture.
Not yet. Yeah, she's. Quaid still got some charm.
Introduced to another phenomenal character played by
Yes.
another Joe Dante alumni. I think this is possibly one of my all-time favorite Robert Picardo characters, because you can tell he's having fun here.
Oh, absolutely. Pretty different too for him. It's really neat to see him like this. It's
Yeah. The thing about him is he's actually, as the cowboy, he's got impeccable manners for most people, even though he's supposed to be a really dangerous guy, but he doesn't strike you as that dangerous.
right. A strange charm to him. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like Jerry Goldsmith's kind of synth take a little bit there on the sort of Western kind of style sound.
Very nice Mustang.
I like that line. I saw her out of the corner of your eye.
Here's a good question from Sparky John, and this is for the chat and for yourself as well. What is it with Joe Dante movies, The Explorers, Innerspace, The Burbs? They all flopped. Can you think of any reason why? I think, myself, they just didn't connect with the right audience in the theatres at the time. Maybe down to marketing, I would say.
Yeah.
Because
I know a lot of the time Joe Dante credits a lot of that to marketing and that sort of thing. That
I would say
kind of found their success on home video and that sort of stuff. And
exactly, and that's why I think the marketing let them down, because these are great movies.
Yeah.
But the marketing didn't connect them with their right audience until the audience at home would sort of hook them to it.
Yeah. I think maybe people were a little late too in looking at films that really had, no offense to anything later than what I like to watch or whatever at all. Yeah. But there's a lot of substance to this stuff, and it just didn't hit at the time or whatever. But it's so wonderful that it's available to us now to go back and really appreciate and enjoy and see what, particularly I find for the science fiction genre, to see how much of this science fiction just kind of became science as opposed to fiction and stuff like that. Maybe not so much with this film, but it's there's something really human about it, I think.
I don't know. Also, if you look at the contemporary movies of the era, were these movies out of time, as in they came out maybe at the wrong year, what the market wanted? These sort of 87-ish, we are looking against movies the year before, the summer season, things like Top Gun, big action movies and things. It's not really an action movie. It's not a goofball comedy. It's not a pure sci-fi.
Right. That's true. The times are so important. Yeah.
Which is a shame, because it's just such a great movie.
Absolutely. I think that's why it's so amazing that we're here watching it now and giving it the love that it so deserves, I think.
Exactly. From people in the Discord, Sparky John, his favorite Dante movie is Matinee, which totally disappeared on release, which is a great movie. That's one well worth checking out.
I need to, I'll be honest, I don't know if I've watched that one. I'm familiar with it, but I'm going to need to give that one a go for sure. Yeah.
I'll say one thing. I would not want to be that tow truck guy when Mr. Igo catches up with you, who just towed Mr. Igo's car.
Yeah, no kidding. We need a post-credit scene of that or something.
Yeah, Mr. Igo retrieving his. Again, he just doesn't care. He just smashes the wing mirror off the truck.
Yeah, he's just, I'm going to continue to complete what I have to do. And yeah, doesn't even need to think about it. Just grabs the truck and off he goes.
I've never been in a meat locker for that long. When I was in college, I worked in a local supermarket. And on my last day, the guys in the warehouse thought it was funny to lock me in the freezer for 10 minutes when I went in to get something. And yeah, it's not fun.
No, I imagine not. How long did you say you were in there for?
10 minutes.
That's a long time.
Yeah. Mr. Scrimshaw with his private number plate Sub-Zero.
Mm-hmm. And another Dante familiar for sure.
That's right.
Kevin McCarthy.
Kevin McCarthy.
Shown up in quite a few things of his.
Another wonderful, wonderful actor.
Oh yeah. And another one of these actors that's like you're mentioning earlier about how the importance of side characters and stuff like that. Like you look at his resume, his body of work, it's huge. He's been in so much stuff. It's hard to keep track of. It's wonderful.
Oh, he has. He's just such a wonderful, wonderful supporting actor in so many things.
Yeah. Vernon Wells in the background there, just straight faced.
Can really just tell Tuck's not even talking to Jack saying stay calm or anything here. He's really trying to figure the situation out.
Mm-hmm.
So I've got a question here. Tuck's car is infamously a 5-speed manual. Can you drive a manual car?
Can I drive a manual car?
Yes, because being British, most people over here, we have manual cars for the most part, historically. So I would say 80-90% of all British people just drive manuals because that's all we've driven.
Wow, I did not know that. That's really cool.
Question for everyone in the chat: who can drive a manual car? Because over here you have your license. If you pass in a manual in the UK, when you pass your driving test, you can drive an automatic. But if you pass in an automatic in the UK, you can't drive a manual without doing an extra test.
Okay, interesting.
So you couldn't drive Tuck's car.
I absolutely cannot. But I can barely do the automatic.
Yeah, Sparky John's a UK person. He can drive a manual. Yep.
Awesome.
Just a strange little thing that's in so many American movies when the Brits see them, that it's like, I can't drive stick, as you guys say, but it's like, get into it, drive it.
It's true. I hear stick more often than manual. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was a late bloomer to the license as well too. So, I mean, and soon we probably won't even need them. They'll just be driving themselves.
Yeah. I drive an automatic now, but
okay. Yeah.
It doesn't have gears because it's hybrid electric. So.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Oh, Sub-Zero. Mad Matt's posting a photo of Sub-Zero from Mortal Kombat. Okay. So Tuck's figuring a plan.
Nice. Yeah. Scoping out the scene.
Trying to figure out how to get
Figuring out how to get out of there. I love this speech he gives them.
Yeah. Sharon, what other men who can pull off a fur coat?
Hopefully it's faux fur.
Yes. Well, I don't know if sadly, well, I'm sure for the purpose of the film, it's possibly. But but Mr. Scrimshaw's evil, so he would have a real fur coat.
Yeah, for sure.
I just love the scene in a second where it cuts to Mr. Igo.
Mm-hmm.
and he's listening to something, got to be something like Bananarama on his Walkman, and he's kind of bopping along. And I love the fact as well, Scrimshaw tries to insult him by calling him a Safeway clerk.
Yeah. Now, I don't know if he was telling the truth or not, but I watched a really awesome interview with Martin Short about this film, and he apparently did a lot of these stunts on this scene.
Oh, wow.
Whether or not he was, the thing with Martin Short is I never know if he's in character or not, so I don't know if he was telling the truth or not necessarily, but in rewatching this film, some of these shots, it's like, holy crap, that's actually really looks like him hanging off the side of this truck.
Or even, especially the one in a minute where you see him stood on the top of the roof, waving his arms back. We see him from the front.
Yeah.
And it's got to be him.
It's got to be him.
But I mean, this is some great stunt work, whoever's doing that.
Yeah. Like, exactly. That was crazy. Yeah.
There we go. Yeah, there we go. The scene with Martin Short on the... I don't know.
I know some of the scenes, it's like, it's hard to tell if that...
Yeah. Lizard Man says it's a terrific stunt. It really is.
I don't think those were his legs when he landed in the car.
Maybe
though.
not.
maybe they were, but again, the Goldsmith music comes through with a nice victory.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mr. Phil says, I love that Tuck was flashing his lights in celebration. He was. It's a really nice little thing. You see the pod flashing its lights where he's kind of happy. It's just great. I think I know it's maybe overused as a term, but this is a wholesome movie. This is just such a great... I can't think of anything I'd prefer done in it.
No, I totally agree. Wholesome is a beautiful word for it. Yeah.
Is there anything you would want done differently? Any casting changes? I can't think of a single thing I'd rather be done differently.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Okay, and I'm not sure if it's in the edition that you've got, the scene with Margaret. Mr. Igo changing his hand for something else.
Yes.
Right. In certain editions, it's a bit different. And now we stop talking about that briefly and get to the cowboy, who's just awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Picardo having fun here.
Picardo is just so good.
Yeah. I love the fact he's even got that faux suede cowhide.
Oh, yeah.
Like stereo he carries with him.
The hairdryer in the pocket.
Yeah. Lizard Man says, that's a lot of boots. Did he really need them all for one trip? He does look a lot like Tom Jones. That's right, Sharon. He has got kind of a Tom Jones thing going on.
I'm surprised he didn't have the industrial strength hairdryer from Spaceballs.
I love the fact as well that Tuck hasn't even taken like space food with him. He's taken junk with him. If you look in his briefcase, he's got some cold McDonald's chicken nuggets, and he's got, is that a pudding cup?
It's like a snack pack or something, like a vanilla pudding.
He's probably one of those really infuriating guys who eats like a 10-year-old yet doesn't put on an ounce of weight.
Yeah, I know, exactly. I'm starting to notice those guys these days.
As Lizard Man says, if I was going into a human body, I'd want to take my comfort foods. Who knows what I'm going to end up seeing?
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of also shows the cheapness of the lab, because if it had been NASA, he would have had pre-packaged, nutritionally balanced meals.
Right? Yeah.
Every 3 hours, you will eat one of these biscuits or
exactly.
Something.
Yeah, you'd have the little space packs of food for sure.
Okay, a wonderful question from Sparky John aimed at me, but I'll ask this of you and ask this to our whole community and everyone watching. What's your favorite Robert Picardo cameo in a Dante movie? And for me, it's the cowboy in this.
Me too.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
He's a very memorable actor in everything he does. I just love his character in this. He's just so animated.
Yeah. Well, there's a bit I'm going to talk about in a moment with him. So when we get to that, a very infamous scene.
Yeah.
Some interesting stuff happened with him, but just love this. He's trying to chat up Tuck's woman in front of Tuck. It's kind of stuff like.
It's also an interesting theme there where it's like it's not necessarily who's on the outside, it's who's on the inside. So she's looking at Martin Short, but she's in love with Dennis Quaid, who's inside of there. So and she feels him, it's like
Oh, I love this song. It's again one of my favorites on the album. It's actually called "Is It Really Love" by Narada Michael Walden.
Nice.
Because it's just such a I love this song just because of this scene, basically. It's one of these ones that I have such fond memories of this scene. When I hear it, I can't help but remember Picardo's performance here, and it just makes me smile.
Yeah.
And it really makes me smile because he's just having so much fun.
To be a fly on a wall when this was being filmed.
Oh, I love this. In fact, he even does faux cowboy moves as part of his disco dancing.
Mm-hmm. I love the 80s nightclub scenes.
I do.
I'm reminded of Fright Night that we did a couple of weeks ago.
That was last week, Fright Night.
Yeah.
Wasn't it, with Twisted? How fun was that? But here's the question for you. Because we've got a few people saying here, why do 80s flicks always have a nightclub scene? Well, they do. What is your favorite 80s movie nightclub scene?
Oh, Tech Noir, The Terminator. It has to be.
Is it?
It has to be.
I'm going to go with, from a watch party we did quite a while ago, Cocoon.
Oh.
The breakdancing scene with the old people.
Yes.
Just because of the really bad cuts between the stunt doubles doing the breakdancing and the and like Donna Meach.
I don't know if you would call this a nightclub, but Van Damme's moves in Kickboxer were pretty.
Oh, they're great as well, aren't they? Robin's favorite is RoboCop, Tech Noir. Calbot says not 80s, Love at First Bite, 1979. We've got another vote for Terminator, and then Carla's saying Fright Night.
Yeah, Fright Night's a really good one.
80s nightclubs are just the coolest.
Oh, totally. That like purple hue.
Yeah.
It's just, and the style too. It's just, and the music and everything. I might not go to a nightclub these days, but if I was back in the 80s, I'd probably be a nightclubber.
Oh, definitely. Definitely. A Mr. Furzel RoboCop for him.
Mm-hmm.
But again, you can just see the Cowboys are really kind of, he's a bit sleazy, but he's actually quite a nice guy. That's the thing about him. He's not dismissive of Jack.
Right.
But then you do wonder if
very
maybe
aware.
Well, then I don't know, but later in the movie, you do wonder if he likes gentlemen and women, which is perfectly cool.
True. Yeah, very true.
But that's kind of a vibe I got later in the movie from him, that maybe he enjoys the company of both.
Mm-hmm. That's a good point.
Sharon's saying, I always have to think of Saturday Night Fever, about 70s, and now I have Disco on the Brain. That's another great one. Oh, we're seeing sort of an early touch screen with a light pen on the screen there, where he's somehow stimulating his adrenaline gland.
Oh, yeah. Again, something that we, watching this movie brand new at the time, you'd be like, wow. And now that's like something that's been in our pockets for years. It's crazy.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. I mean, again, showing my age, I remember early touch screen using a pen and how bad they were. Yeah. There you go. Great little sort of synthy march score now.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
I love this as well, that he's getting it so wrong. Oh. I think it's great. The Picardo just, that's the even stranger thing. When you realize she wasn't in the room with him, he's quite happy for Jack just to come in and visit him.
A very good point. You're building a strong case.
Yeah.
He really was just like, hey, let's
party.
Go right on.
Yeah. Oh, this is a great scene. This is one
absolutely.
of my favorite scenes.
Good old nerve muscle stimulation to turn
this
you from Martin Short into Roth.
Oh, this won't hurt. So the face change scene in which Tuck transforms Jack into the cowboy was all achieved with animatronics provided by Rob Bottin. Well, this is very cool.
Very cool.
And again, you can see the cowboy is supposed to be the toughest guy known to man. In a moment, he faints from the sheer shock of what he sees.
Yeah.
So what's interesting here is the voice is actually being done by Robert Picardo.
Yes.
Apparently, Picardo had to do, it was quite interesting because Picardo had to play Jack playing the cowboy.
Mm-hmm. Which just goes to show how amazing of an artist he is.
Definitely.
Yeah. And now, if I'm not mistaken, right now, while this continuous shot is happening, Picardo is ripping off his tearaway clothes and getting back into the tub.
Really?
I believe so. It's all one continuous shot, and there he is back in the tub. Yeah, it's crazy.
So who would have liked to have seen Picardo play Jack throughout the movie? I don't know, actually. I think he's kind of too cool for that, maybe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think like we were mentioning earlier, I just think everybody was cast so perfectly in what their roles were. It was, yeah.
I love the scene even with the dog because it just shows what an ass the guy is.
Yes.
Tells him never beg for anything. Oh. Yeah, I don't think it was quite a barbecue as in a meal like that, Jack. Network nerd, an 80s Volvo, the true height of evil transportation. Well, Sharon, that's interesting. I think someone needs to have a look at that. Someone saying, is that a real house or constructed for the movie? That's very familiar of what we would have called in the UK Crystal Palace. We had several of them over here, a very famous large one burnt down. And there's a similar restaurant in a few of the Disney parks called Crystal Palace, which is very similar in style, that kind of glass, kind of a bit like a greenhouse.
Solarium look or whatever.
Yeah, that kind of thing. So I wouldn't be surprised if it's a real filming location, at least for the exterior shots. That's right, Lizard Man. Picardo is playing Short, playing his original character disguised as the said characters. Yeah, so he's playing Short, playing him.
Right. There's some layers to this movie for sure.
I can't stand raw egg like that. I ate some once and it's like, no. Trying to work out actually what they're doing. Is that honeycomb they're trying to dip into the egg or something?
That's
a biscuit? Or?
It must be. It almost looks, or like, yeah, I don't know.
I think there's a bit of a continuity thing here going on as well. If you look at the glasses of champagne in front now, they're quite bubbly and fresh, but then when it keeps cutting to scenes of Jack on his own, it looks to have gone flat.
Okay.
Noticing quite a bit of disparity in the bubbles there. But... Mad Matt taco shell, yeah. Who doesn't enjoy a raw egg and a hard taco shell for breakfast?
Taco shell, I know. It's like a rice cake taco shell or something.
Yeah. Thank you, Sparky John. The location is the Garden of Flowers at 100 John F. Kennedy Drive, San Francisco.
Oh, wow. Very cool.
Oh. And there's an interesting bit we're going to hear just in a moment from Mr. Scrimshaw. Margaret has pioneered limb replacement, so we can assume that Margaret built all Mr. Igo's toys.
Ah, yes. Hence the earlier scene.
Yes. She was getting him to test some new accessories she'd built.
Right. Some prototypes of her own.
That's right.
Oh, that's so Rob Bottin or
Oh,
Bottin.
it's great.
Like his effects or whatever. Yeah, so
Even Scrimshaw's a religious man when the chips are down, it appears.
If you go back and pause some of those scenes while that things happen, there's some really crazy things you can look at in there. It's really neat.
It's wonderful. Oh. Oh. Smell of dog food alone, let alone getting it on your hands.
I think I developed a sort of immunity to it or something growing up with with all the animals I fed.
Why is it as well? Every henchman's house has a dingy basement like that. Every bad guy's house has to have a sort of a dingy cellar.
Yeah. Just kind of trended maybe after the first couple. This was a cool scene.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Sparky John's posted some pictures of the Garden of Flowers, and it looks very much like we're seeing there. It's like a big glass botanical garden.
Oh, nice. The perfect place for an evil doer.
Guy. Yes.
Yeah.
I'm still not sure I would believe that Tuck was inside someone miniaturized, even if they did repeat to me the exact words they said. That's still quite a leap of faith.
Mm-hmm. There would still be a barrier there that would be hard for me to blast through. Just accept. Yeah.
Wow. Meg's looking at him quite confused, though.
This is a leap of faith for Dennis Quaid.
It is. Sparky Johnson, some hardcore stalking to know all that kind of information. That is, it'd be a bit creepy.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing I struggle with on this scene is why would Tuck be in Jack's mouth?
Yes, I thought of that too as well. It was kind of convenient that when the pass back and forth happens, it just so happens to be that they're in. Yeah,
that he was. Yeah, because he was not in the mouth sort of location at that point. But it worked out for the best. You see, now this is what an evil lab looks like, isn't it? Much more highly polished and...
Of course. Chances are you had to take an elevator deep down to get to it.
Exactly. And there'd be guards downstairs, armed guards downstairs.
Oh, yeah. Oh, and I love the suit there, or the pod or suit pod that he
Yeah.
Wells gets in.
Oh no. But again, more he's just. I could watch this movie, just a cut of this movie with the score and the visuals. I'd be quite happy to watch,
Oh, absolutely.
even without the actors, because it just looks so wonderful.
Yeah. And it would tell its own story too, which is really cool. Yeah.
It really would. It's like a dentist from hell with the.
I just love the hanging Mr. Vernon Wells.
I go, yeah, with the crane
across, yeah, crawling in. It's just so cool. Just so cool.
It really is. I know it sounds strange, but I get like a shark vibe from Mr. Igo's suit. His pod. It looks very predatory the way they obviously they design it like that, but it very much reminds me of a shark.
Oh yeah, I see it for sure. It even almost looks like it on the one back end of it has like a dorsal fin and everything like that too, almost protruding out a bit. It's great, really cool.
Mad Matt, I agree with you there. Something he mentioned that I saw earlier in the movie, he has Scrimshaw, when we saw him in his office earlier, he has something very similar to the 1960s Batman, where his desk is surrounded by red in like a frozen office, very much like they had with, if you remember Mr. Freeze in the 1960s Batman, he'd have to be in an area of like a room and they'd have it frozen for him. And they had to have like a path of the room being frozen. The rest of it was hot. It's kind of the reverse of that. It's very
cool.
Yes,
that would be
again. Sorry, Sparky John has commented. Mr. Igo in that scene gives him some serious Jaws vibes from the Bond movies. Again, Jaws, shark.
Yep,
it's all
totally. Yeah. Interestingly enough, Joe Dante was initially like approached to do a spoof of a Jaws film, which he turned down, I think, which ended up becoming Jaws 3D.
Really? Wow.
Interesting. Yeah. Which also stars Dennis Quaid, which is kind of a cool little connection there. Yeah.
It's all connected.
Yeah. It's true, it really is. I mean, if you watch enough of these movies and you love the decade and stuff, you really start to find these pathways, and it's just so cool to explore. All the connected, yeah.
It really is. There's also a bit of a joke for a payoff later in the movie where we're seeing every time these chips are used, they have to very intricately be picked out of box by a robot that picks the chip up and spins it around, lines it up, and then slots the chip in. And remember that for later in the movie.
Yeah. I remember my first time watching it when I saw the scene you were talking about. I was like, okay, there we go. I like that I can tell that like really bad stuff is happening right now, but I'm still able to have a lot of fun with it.
Yeah. Even the bit she shoots the gun and realizes when she shot the ceiling, like in so many films, all the plaster dust actually falls down on her head.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah, they need to get the robot to get the chip back.
Right. I love the old line, "I'll get you for this."
Here we go. Again, that's something I'm not quite sure how that would work, because it's been established when something's miniaturized, it's scattered into atoms and then sort of reassembled and sucked through a tube into the syringe, ready for deploy to go into whatever.
Right.
Would it maybe have just like a decompressurization chamber or something when they were in molecules? All right, they've been shrunk by 50%. Would it be trying to force sort of 8 people at 50% size into a syringe?
Wow. And very interesting. Yeah.
Because they're all still in the shrinking chamber.
Right.
Okay, we'll not worry about that bit. They could have done a great gag here where he pushes it again and they end up 25% of the size. Push the wrong button. Something I love about these scenes that we're going to see now with Jack, some of the scenes coming up, Jack actually has the potential to do things himself. He doesn't really need Tuck giving him the strength by stimulating glands and things. Jack does have the power within himself, and it's quite a nice sort of thing.
Yeah.
That he can do these things.
Yeah, I love that. It's almost like, it's like Quaid initiated his own inner voice for himself to really
exactly. It's the confidence that little voice says he can
himself.
do it.
Yeah.
Mad Matt's saying, what is so elusive about the second chip? Assume only 2 exist. One shrinks, one enlarges. Both chips are needed to re-enlarge. One is needed to shrink. That's what they said earlier in the movie. Okay. Also, the chips were established earlier in the movie, Matt, as they are prototypes, so only 2 do exist.
Right.
That's right, Lizard Man. He switched bodies. He did. When he kissed, when Jack kissed Lydia, they Tuck disappeared bodies. But again,
something will come up very shortly here now to
yes,
the switch back, if you will. Yeah.
That must be a rather large quantity of bodily fluids passing back and forth if wherever Tuck is in your body at the time. He disappears between you. Must be liters of it. I do love this scene. It's
and very effectively shot. Like
it
really,
is
really cool.
Oh. Well, it's all right. At least if they had a crash, they're in the safest car they could have been in. That 1980s Volvo. I mean, it's like a tank.
Exactly.
Oh. Now the battles start inside and outside.
And only in the 80s could you have Vernon Wells and Dennis Quaid fighting each other inside of Martin Short.
Exactly.
And it's just so cool. It's
Okay, so we've actually had an email from a fan of yours, Colin.
Oh,
from a chap called Chris Wynn.
Okay.
And he has a question for you. So, Chris, if you can hear us right now, if you mail the question to Creative EC the way you did just now, I will ask the question of Colin for you.
Interesting. Okay.
And one of your fans. Oh, Lizardman's getting Body Wars vibes here. It's just awesome. And it's such an such an 80s thing, a sort of a car sort of chase battle through San Francisco.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also cool because it's showing Tux really kind of doing a couple things at once here. He's fighting, he's helping Jack on the outside, yet he's fighting Igo on the inside.
Yeah, because like totally, you could figure Martin Short's dealing with the internal and external right now. He's in
Quaid is, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's dealing with both battles.
Yeah.
And Martin's only dealing with just driving the car and fighting the midgets. Oh. I love the fact he's even got a backup kind of suit for the pod, for his evil pod.
Yeah. And I just love how he's still just so calm and just so like, all right, well, this is what I'm going to do now. And he's the type of henchman you want.
Oh, yeah. He just doesn't care.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sharon says it's hysterically funny seeing the tiny humans just fighting everybody, and it is. Oh. Also, you can kind of imagine as well that Mr. Igo's suit, when you've seen it, Tuck's pod is built to not harm the host. If you look at his boosters are air, like pushing air and electricity and whatever, they're not that. But if you look, Igo's equipment is all like rockets and propulsion that would have heat. So
exactly,
Igo potentially would be hurting the inside of the house because they don't care.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Oof. And that's the crazy thing to remember. We've all got a little sack of acid going around inside us.
Yes, we do. And I love how they visualize like the terrain of the inside of us. It's really cool. Yeah. It almost looks like that could be an alien planet of just brewing acid lakes or something.
Yeah. Oh. Is he getting his upset stomach?
Yeah.
Carla says, on some level, seeing the inside of the human body like this creeps me out. Would you take that ride? I don't know. I think it'd be really cool.
Yeah. I'd be okay with it if I wasn't shrunken down and I was going through a built internal human body. Maybe the scenario would be a bit different. But
I even love this bit. We see the sort of skeleton of Igo. Just...
Yes. Oh, and the sound effects and everything too is so cool.
Yeah. A little burp.
Yeah. I would have liked to have seen if maybe they cut it a little bit more towards his hand, where it could kind of show where he became robotic in his wrist.
Yeah, like a stump on the skeleton sort of thing. It's the fact they're even going through this comedy kind of situation.
Totally.
Here we go. See the pod's running out of air.
I always wondered if they could have attached or had something on that pod that could have allowed Dennis Quaid to like latch onto his lungs somehow and maybe reoxygenate the pod or something like that. I don't know.
Maybe. I don't know. Or is it I don't know. This goes down to the whole shrinking thing. Is it as well that the oxygen molecules that he's breathing have been shrunk down proportionally to him so his body can process them?
Right.
And if they were to just, aside from the pod exploding or whatever with pressure difference, would his body, would those oxygen molecules be physically too large for his body to be able to process? Network Nerd said they spent the refill the oxygen tanks money on the face shape shifting technology.
Yeah.
And as Carla says, it's San Francisco, so I guess two midgets trying to use a payphone is no big deal.
I've never been to San Francisco, but I'll take your word for it. It's the most like intricate extraction method ever.
Yeah. Everyone had hairspray in the 80s, Carla. Yeah, that's true. I was of the era where it was gel. All the kids wore gel in their hair. Sparky John says, all that tech and they just use tweezers. Well, that's true. Okay, I've just had the question from your fan, Chris.
Okay.
I'm a huge fan of his earlier work and always wondered if he ever collaborated with DJ Jesse Grass or Jesse Killinger. Is it Klinger?
Oh, is that me personally?
For you, question for you, Colin. Yeah.
No, I never did.
Okay.
No, I did not. I have not actually heard of that or heard of them.
Okay. There we go. There you go. We just saw the scene where they just give up on waiting for the robot to intricately put the chip in, and he just goes, just shoves the chip in the hole. Exactly, Network Nerd. We don't have time for this. Again, I love the whole effects on this. I love the machines because they look so a bit janky, but just so cool.
Yeah, absolutely. And the sounds they make and everything too.
Yeah.
It's like the sound department's so great.
I even kind of love the cocoon system they have for the pod to sit inside.
Yeah.
It kind of separates.
Yeah.
Network Nerd said, I get Fantastic Voyage and Innerspace mixed up all the time. I'm glad I rewatched it. So, well, we're glad you watched it with us, and I think I'm glad I watched this today because it's such a fun movie.
Absolutely. I'm glad I did too. I'm glad he joined. That's awesome. I wonder if this tech ended up going on to be Zelensky tech.
Could be.
Maybe Rick Moranis stole it and went on to shrink his family.
I definitely do agree with you there, Sparky John, that the pod has a very similar kind of feeling to Explorers, that kind of face with it with the eyes, that kind of the very much way the Thunder Road's got similar kind of eyes as well.
Yeah.
But they're all there. But again, this score, I just love this score. It's just
what a crazy meeting that would be, in
it
person
would be.
there. Like, wow.
Yeah. And of course, Meg Ryan and Dennis Quaid met on the set of this movie, and they started dating after it.
Yeah.
It didn't last, but they dated. So
yeah,
that's cool.
And they actually, I think it was just shortly after this, they did I haven't seen it, but they did another movie together called DOA in the late 80s. That's kind of like a thriller sort of that I'd like to check out, that I know they ended up doing shortly after together with this one too. So romance and work, that's great.
Such an 80s wedding as well.
Yeah.
Seeing some of the other characters who appeared in the movie in the background in the wedding party. Henry Gibson was there briefly. Lizardman saying, I think Tucker's a huge got over his fellow pilots now. Maybe he has, but has he? Because he can't tell them. Because as we find out in a minute, all this stuff is classified.
Right.
So he's still got to eat out on that crippled Tomcat story.
Yeah.
Because he can't say I was shrunk and put inside the supermarket clerk's body.
Yeah. And maybe that's part of it. It's like, I don't need to tell anybody else. I know what I did, and I know what I'm worth and capable of, and that sort of thing.
Oh, I love this just little kind of stinger. That's right. Collins, sorry. Aaron says, uh-oh. None of them actually noticed it was the cowboy to start off with, which is fine.
Right. Oh, those boots.
Yeah. Sparky John saying this film deserves a sequel. Yes and no. I think if it had a sequel, it wouldn't hold up. And where would you go? That's a question. Okay, we're getting near the end credits. We have some time to discuss things. If I waved a wand and said, right, you're in charge of making the sequel to Innerspace, what would your plot be?
Holy smokes. I don't know.
I think and that's a question for our chat, and I'll read out some of their suggestions.
Well, first of all, I don't think an 80s film could have a sequel in present day now. I just don't think it would hold up as well. I don't think it would be the same thing. But if I'm thinking about how this film ends, that's really, really interesting. Maybe we reverse the roles. Maybe we see Martin Short's character get into Quaid, perhaps, or something like that. And yeah,
it's a good. I don't know. I don't know how I don't know. I genuinely don't know where you would. That's it. Mad Matt's saying. Obviously, they get big.
Oh, I guess that's it. Eh?
Yeah, about giants.
I guess that would be the next direction. Yeah.
Yeah. Aaron says, I figure Martin Short saves the day. is what happens in the sequel, then the sequel's over. Yeah, Martin Short saves the day somehow.
The sequel could be like a short, maybe 10-minute movie of him just taking care of this scenario.
Yeah. Someone saying like, "Honey, I Blew Up the Kid" again. I don't know. We've got some Rod Stewart over the end credits here. This is just fun.
It's
and we
just
see
so good. Yeah. By the end of this, it's just such a feel-good film. It feels like, even though it's a very questionable ending, kind of. Yeah.
it kind of is, and it's not a short movie. It's a 2-hour movie, but it flies by. There's not a dull moment in it.
Yeah.
It's just so fantastic. This is. Yeah. Lizard Man saying some things are just better not to get sequelized, and Aaron's saying this is an earworm to take it out again. What a fantastic soundtrack to this film. If you can track a copy of this down, track it down. It is tremendous. It is so good. Mm-hmm. You can get a copy of it just between the score and the pop music's on there. Sparky John says this was the longest Joe Dante movie ever made.
Wow.
And Carl is saying, why haven't I watched this film again sooner? Thanks to us. Well, sorry, Dennis Muren, just the name there, legend, absolute legend, who got an Oscar for this movie. He's one of the most Oscar-winning people ever. Rob Bottin. This is just, everyone brings their A game to this.
Yeah. It got an Oscar for visual effects, actually. Yeah,
and it deserved them. It 100% deserves every bit of credit it had. Mr. Furzel saying this was fun. Aaron says thanks to you, Colin. Lizard Man, this was a fun movie to watch with you all. Perfect summer movie. Phonic says that was great. Thanks. Sparky John again says it was the only Dante movie ever to win an Oscar. Network Nerd really enjoyed watching this again. Been far too long since I last saw it. I mean, it's just so much fun. This is what we're trying to do here. Sharon, you're welcome. Thanks to Colin again from Sharon. And this is what we're doing as part of our summer of popcorn. We want these fun movies. Yeah. Every Sunday night we're here, we're hanging with them and with you guys, having fun talking about these fun movies. Next week, we're back with In Search of Darkness, and we are doing Fright Night Part 2, and we're joined by the Lo-Fi Horror Guy, who is going to be tremendous talking about that absolutely great fun movie. And then I can tell you what we're doing next on Sci-Fi, which you probably know if you've looked at our YouTube channel, which is Space Camp. And we are going to be doing that we've got a great guest for that, who I think you'll really enjoy. Someone who's crazy about 80s nostalgia. So that's going to be awesome. So thank you, Colin, for joining us for your first time today. We hope you had a good time.
Thank you so much. I had an amazing time. I hope everybody in the community did too. This was really great. An honor to be up here and hanging out. Yeah, I loved it.
Well, exactly. It's so awesome. Sharon's saying great movies coming up. We've got more great movies coming up. We're just, let us know what you want us to do watch parties on. We will. We're listening to you. We're going to have fun. Network Nerds, I can't wait for Space Camp. Watched it for the first time while stuck in time. Stuck inside. It was like being stuck in time in 2020, being stuck inside in 2020. Sparky Johnson is another of his favorites. But we're knocking out all these favorites over the summer of popcorn. Lizard Man, you are in for a treat. It's every kid's fantasy. We're just, as the credits end now, we just see the Amblin Entertainment logo. Yeah, that was an Amblin movie. And Sharon's going to be seeing Space Camp for the first time too. So, well, everybody, like I say, we'll be back next week on In Search of Darkness with Fright Night Part 2, and then back the week after with Space Camp. So until then, everybody, thank you again for joining us, Colin, and bye-bye. Take care. We'll see you all very soon.
Take care, everybody. It's a pleasure.